Hey, it's time for another round of Hey, Mary Kay on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. Doug Lesmerises hosting this week with the great Mary Kay Cabot. Questions from our tech subscribers. Mary Kay, good to be with you as always.
Great to be here. Thanks for doing this tonight.
So we have good things from our Browns insiders, and we hope you guys are putting that on your radar. If you're not a Browns insider right now, certainly should be thinking about that as we get closer and closer to the start of Browns training camp. But let's start off, and Mary Kay, you know, at times I get a little antsy when we talk about contract stuff all the time. It's mostly because I don't know anything about it. I am more than happy to pass the questions along to you. But as we record this, you recently were at Baker Mayfield's camp for kids, and he spoke with the media there. And so there's a little freshness to this that is different than what we've been talking about all offseason. So we will say this. Hey, Mary Kay. This is from the 203 area code. Baker states no worries about the contract extension. Do you believe him? Could the contract be a distraction, especially as other key players hopefully get extended?
You know, I really do believe him right now when he says that he is not worried about this. I believe him for a number of reasons. First of all, Josh Allen's contract is not done yet, and Lamar Jackson's contract is not done yet. Those are two quarterbacks in his class of 2018. He is going to want to compare his salary to what those guys get. He certainly believes that he is as good as those guys, okay? There is no doubt in Baker Mayfield's mind. You know him well enough to know that. I know him well enough to know that he stacks himself right up there with the best in his class, if not the best in the NFL. So there's no way that he wants those guys to go out and sign contracts that are going to be worth whatever, $41 million a year or $42 million a year. And he's going to settle for something less because he doesn't have the same resume that they have yet because of everything that he's gone through. So that is a major reason why I don't think he's fretting about this right now. And there are others, but that's the first one.
So one of the things that I think is interesting, Mary Kay, as I follow up on this, is when you have players in any sport playing for a contract, you know, that's a very interesting situation. I think guys can either press, right? They can try to do too much. They can like sort of not be themselves because they're trying to prove something too much, or they really can let it motivate them and it kind of brings out the best in them. If Baker winds up playing this season without signing an extension, do you have a read in your mind on which way he would lean? Would you think potentially he could press trying to show something, or would it bring out the best in Baker to play that way?
Well, first of all, this is not a press-oriented offense. It's not an offense that lends itself to forcing things. There are so many options in this offense. That's why it's so quarterback friendly. That's why it's kind of the it offense in the NFL right now that so many of the top teams are running, or at least running a version of it, because there are just so many things that you can do out of it. There's so much marriage between the run and the pass. There's so much ambiguity between those two things, and there are so many options. So it doesn't lend itself to spraying the ball all over the yard and trying too hard and doing too much. You go through your progressions, you have outlets, you have options. And that is why you see, the Kirk Cousins of the world and the Baker Mayfields in the second half of last season really cutting down on their interceptions and increasing those touchdown passes. That's what this offense does for most of those guys most of the time. So I don't see that happening with him. The other thing is, I think he's so confident in this offense right now, finally heading into his second season for the first time in the same offense. I think he's so confident that I don't see him pressing. I also don't see that, or I don't believe that he will have those voices in his head that tell him, you've got to get the ball to Odell Beckham Jr. You've got to get the ball to Austin Hooper. You've got to get the ball to Jarvis Landry. It's his now. He's the undisputed leader. It's not like you've got some Pro Bowl veterans up here and he's down here. No. That's not what it's going to be all about. He's up here and everybody else is going to be down here. Now, nobody's going to say that in a minute, but just from a confidence and leadership level, he feels confident enough to lead even savvy veterans who have made Pro Bowls. And I think you will see that this year. I don't think he's going to be trying to get the ball 10 times to Odell Beckham Jr. if it doesn't make sense in that particular game. So I don't think he's going to press this year. I think it will bring out the best in him. I think that it is an opportunity for him, and I've mentioned this before, it's an opportunity to put another 6, 7, 8 games potentially together so that they can see one full year in the Kevin Stefanski offense. Like, here's one season of what we think Baker Mayfield can be, and this will inform where he's going over the next 3 or 4 years. And I think that he's excited to do that, especially in this offense, especially with Odell back, especially with the new wrinkles that they're going to put in and the added things that they're going to put on his plate. I think he can't wait to get out there and prove that he deserves to be right up there with the best of them. I think it'll have a good effect on him.